Greetings once more. Welcome to the Dracovin Empire. Are you ready to dive back into the sixth world of Shadowrun? I am your host, your guide, your emperor, Tantus Van Dracovin, here to guide you through the time-space dimensional portal to the alternate future of the sixth world, and taking you once again to Europe, to Greece, or as it's known, the Federal Republic of Hellas. You're ready to go. You need to grab my hand to take you through there safely. But if you do, hey, you subscribe here? Make sure you are. Helps out a lot. Also, maybe a liking, and of course, let me know, have you had an experience with Greece, or do you think they should explore it more? I think they should. What we're going to talk about. Anyway, let's get going. Sixth world awaits. Arrived. So, Greece. Federal Republic of Hellas. We'll stick with Greece for now because it technically is Greece, but it rolls off the tongue a little bit better than 3 words. 4 words, technically. Where can we explore it? Where can we learn about it? What sources did I use? This is a problem. There are no great sources on Greece. There are some okay sources. And the 2 I can point out are Shadows over Europe and Vice. Vice, because it deals with a major criminal or element there and gives us a little bits and pieces of information about it. But yeah, and Shadows of Europe has a couple of paragraphs about it. The fact is that these are the books that have the most information, but it's not that we can't pick up information from other sources. Greece just doesn't have a good book. Psst, hey, someone, current people, publish new good books. Just saying. But doesn't mean we can't explore Greece. Because we can. Because we do know stuff about it. We know a lot of great information about it. And so join me as we explore what we know about Greece. Boom! So, the Federal Republic of Hellas. Its capital is technically still Athens. It's a federal republic. But these facts don't really paint the entire picture. We know that they do use the Nuyen. But we don't know about much else. Again, most countries use the Nuyen. Do they have their own currency? Do they still use the euro at all? We don't know. There are many questions about this region that's kind of missing. But there are some basic information that we can talk about because we know of European history and how it has affected this region. So, what we can start with is the country of Greece as we know it now doesn't exist. Basically, the European Economic Community, southern France, Italy, southeastern Europe, all of these areas in about 2033 shatter into hundreds of city-states. We've seen this in my discussions with Italy and Germany and a lot of regions that have kind of become more shattered, and their states are more like independent countries that have banded together in some kind of alliance or something like that, that there's this difference in the way it is. And Greece is no different. It's a bunch of different city-states which technically have united together against their enemies, which is interesting because it required enemies to do this. War and problems and invasions drove them to still be a nation. Basically, they lost a core of their population in the Alliance of Allah invaded during one of the Euro Wars in 2036, when they were finally driven out. But yes, the Euro Wars came to Greece, invaded them, and they lost 1 in 4 people. And this is on top of everything that's already happened in the sixth world. If you consider everything that's been going on, the crashes, globalization, the plague, Vetus, a lot of problems happened there. But it builds what we know about Greece today in many ways. Other major events are, of course, insect hive that was discovered in Athens in 2055, and it was exterminated, a major one. We know that Halley's Comet, when it came by, had very interesting effects on the country. A lot of magic restoring and very problems and things that have changed with that. So we can kind of point to these major activities that have happened. And yeah, there's a lot of details that don't exist. And I think it's one of those things that you really need to explore Greece, because a lot of its city-states are unique and you kind of need a picture of them, and we don't. We have tiny tidbits of pictures of their city-states. Not a lot, unfortunately. There's the European map. You can see Greece down there. It's still united in a country on this map. Why? Because, all right, so when we talk about this region, we talk about its cities, you have to consider that all these city-states are their own. They're radically, ethnically, religiously, all diverse. It's an awakened hotspot with awakened cities, metahumans, strange phenomena, the Erebus storm, astral constructs, a lot of strange things that happen here. But the chaotic years of the awakening, the invasion, all these things have basically come to the people of Greece and said, I have my differences from you. You have my differences from me. But you know what? We're together not going to stand up for anybody coming with us with weapons. Greece is one of the most ethnic and racially diverse nations in the Western hemisphere, and one of the most accepting of all kind of metavariances and magical beings and kind of things there. They are drawn together and accepting because of the crap they went through. Because all these city-states, broken apart, had to band together to form a strength. It is a booming economy that has stability in comparison to many regions here. The strength of Greece is there. They're stable, they have a future, they're building power. That's what we know about Greece in many ways. It's got powerful economics, powerful strength. And it does have some interesting things going for it. Cyclops and Minotaur troll metavariants are common in Greece and in the Mediterranean, so you have them show up there a lot. So, what do we know about the government of it? Well, here's the thing. Again, city-states. We know very little of all the different city-states, so it can be assumed that each one has their own independent governments, and a lot of ways they do it. One could be more corporate, one could have, honestly speaking, some kind of royalty, a king or something. Others could have a democratic council. We just don't know. We know there are a united council at the heart of this, though. The fact is, all the independent city-states do things on their own. But when it comes to pan-national issues, a united army, a united front of Greece, they have a council. The Hellenic Federal Council is responsible for any of those pan-national issues. And it is, of course, centered in Athens. That's why Athens is the official capital of the nation, because as much as each of these independent city-states are their own thing, when you come from the outside and want to deal with Greece, you go to the council. And you go to Athens to talk with the council. We also know that the Republic is not a member or pending member of the NEEC, the New European Economic Community, the kind of successor state from the kind of European Union in a lot of ways that still keeps the euro as a stability in that area. So that's why it's kind of like questioning whether or not the euro is a major money there, or if they have their own, or they just use the Union. Again, lack of information. So, there are other forces at work there. The Orthodox and Catholic churches have great strength, and there's a growing popularity and spread of Roman Hellenic cults. Basically, people looking to the Greek gods and goddesses, or Roman versions of them. Yeah, there's some interesting religious groups that are growing within the entire region, and not for bad reasons. Major archaeological sites, things done by like the Atlantean Foundation, are being found here. Major magical areas. There is much magical powers and various things that are here. And there are some groups to talk about. Important groups to talk about here when we talk about it. Things like the Oracle of Delphos, which does exist. They're a pagan group that worships Apollo, continues the tradition of the Oracle from ancient years, and have a seat on the Hellenic Federal Council. The Oracle does. Think about that. That's how much. And of course, they run the Oracle, the consulting firm with divination services that does really great. Basically, if you want to get a little bit of divination, you go to Oracle, which is spelled Orakle instead of the like Oracle of actual Oracle. They do a little funny joke there with that. But it goes to show you that magic and a lot of different things have power within Greece, and how the various belief systems have a influence. They do. Now we got to talk a little about the more megacorps and a little about crime. That's why I mentioned the Vice book originally. Well, when it comes to megacorps, plenty are trying to make deals, but they make deals with individual city-states. That's another major thing. A lot of these megacorps are making deals for individual city-states because they're not doing something on Greece as a whole. They're doing something in these small regions. The Draco Foundation, Atlantean Foundation also have big facilities they want there, going into the depths of magic there. So, yeah. What corps are where, and that sort of thing. Again, this is the lack of exact information. We do know that we have to kind of mention on this kind of corporate side. It's really got a good matrix. The Athens RTG is one of the most modern in the region. It's from the Matrix. It's got heavy corporate and military influence, and it resembles the Acropolis. Those are communication hubs for the entire region. We also know that transport across Greece is one of the most effective in Europe. Basically, the Republic went and spent an exorbitant amount of money rebuilding and constructing rail infrastructure to make one of the fastest and easy transportation between the various city-states. They have a massive, powerful rail network, one of the best in the world, because they spent effort to do that. You are connected anywhere you are in Greece from another one, from another part of it. So they're connected across the nation. This is the situation we're getting into economically, and then we got to get into the major crime group that we know about, the Turkish Grey Wolves. Okay, they're the major organized crime element that exists within Greece. That's why the Vice book is important to talk about, as I mentioned earlier. Basically, what had happened was they moved their base to Athens during a 2030 crackdown by a fundamentalist government in Ankara and the Alliance for Allah invasion. Basically, it drove them out of that region into Greece. And they stayed there. Once the Euro War stopped, they stayed there. They've expanded the region around the Black Sea and had a lot of influence since then. I'm not going to dive too deep into the Grey Wolves. Again, if I want to talk about major crime groups, I'll probably do videos on their own at some point in time. But they have this kind of more base of operations originally out of Greece because of this major crime family originally from Turkey. Basically, Islamic law was so strict on them, they left. And yeah, their kind of fundamental ways and kind of ways of doing things, they ended up actually working together with the Greek resistance, which is a very interesting thing. It's probably one of the reasons that they are probably more tolerated. They helped out the Greek resistance during the invasion. Very interesting fact there, too. So yeah. This is the major group that we know about. It's just that other information is kind of lacking in many ways. There is technically also a branch of the mafia out of Greece, but I do have to mention that. So there's technically a Greek mob, but it's basically they were founded by Greek descendants elsewhere and kind of moved back in there, but the Grey Wolves are the major underworld dominance in Greece, basically. They're originating from the Greece, basically. So it's kind of an interesting thing of there is this Greek mafia, which is kind of organized as part of the entire kind of thing there too, but yeah. You find them more in the Canadian and the North American regions. But they're also overshadowed a lot of times by like other Europeans, like the Italian-based mobsters. But they exist. And we should mention them as another major organized crime group. But that's Greece. What we know about it. Again, it's enough here to talk about it. I can present to you Greece, and I feel like it was good to make a video here. But it's one of those nations that we kind of have we have a little bit of a picture of, but not a big picture of. And I always say, like, I would love a revisit, another Shadows of Europe, another Sixth World Almanac, exploring a lot of these other countries that we don't know about. or deep diving into a lot more countries. There are a lot of very interesting countries in the Sixth World, and Greece is fascinating. It's this united place that's very accepting that, if you're a strange meta variant, if you're an awakened spirit, if you're all these kind of things, you can find home in Greece. Possibly. But being accepting, becoming a citizen, we don't know about the difference of it. Is it certain city-states? Again, lack of knowing. What are the different city-states? There's a lot of questions that aren't answered, but we have a general picture of a very fascinating and interesting place that if you know enough about Greece today, you have an idea of how it works. But again, it's just, we have a partial picture. I'd love a big picture, but it's enough if you want to go exploring Athens and checking it out in your Shadowrun game. This should be enough for you to pick it up, build something, check out a map of Athens, figure out what kind of things are there, check out ancient places. Put one of the major corporations there. They'll probably have an influence, especially if they're going to be talking to the council. Probably most of the major megacorps have some kind of subsidiary or business or office somewhere in the country. Just have to figure it out. Anyway, hope you enjoyed diving in to Greece. That'll be it for today. Check out their stuff and the rest of my stuff on YouTube or Twitch. Great place to check me out. Hey, on the Twitch side, you can see me record videos like this live. You can see me do Fall of Athenswell, my live play of a TTRPG, discussing tabletop, my talk show discussion show. Fall of Athenswell, Wednesdays at 8, discussing tabletop, Saturdays at 6. Check all those out. If you can't join me live or doing anything on Chick or check out games or anything, Twitch, you can always go over to the YouTube side. Hey, you over on YouTube, you're more likely to be on. Hi, great, thank you. Remember that subscription. Remember that comment. Let me know what you think about Greece and how you would think you should explore it if you were going to do it for your Shadowrun games. Remember, check out all the other stuff. Current live plays, older live plays, a lot of older videos, a lot of great stuff to check out. Go pop in, see some older videos too. Check out my social media for updates, schedules, all those kind of things. All right, I'm going. Till the next time, we dive into the Sixth World or another world. I bid all of you out there a deep and wonderful farewell.